Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Logan Kaler, and today I'm going to be discussing this super dope, super big collaboration and kind of my thoughts on each item that's been shown off. So, unless you've been living under a rock, which, fair, I live under a rock a lot too, there has been this enormous collab called the Prototype Marathon. This is a collaboration between Inkay, Hauntastic, Billy's Monsters, Halloween Haunter, Jaden Wright, and Spooky Guy 444. All these wonderful people got a bunch of super dope, super awesome, super amazing animatronics, or I won't say animatronics, prototypes and samples from Spirit, and they're showing them off. And that's super dope because a lot of prototype collectors really don't feel 100% comfortable showing off their prototypes. So it's super dope that we get to see all these prototypes in a marathon format. Obviously, I don't know how to speak, so I'm sorry. So this is going on from, let's see here, from the 13th to the 26th. So I'm covering days 1 through 7. So by the time you see this, I believe there is another video out. Yes, there is. That would be I'm looking here. Forgotten Farmer. But that was Jaden's. So I'm not covering that today. That will be in the next video when I cover the rest. I want to do this in chunks just so it's easier on me and easier on my voice. So we're going to cover day 1. This is the Scarecrow head by Talix Artware from 2017. And this one was posted by Jaden. So I really don't have a lot to say about this one because it was a produced item. However, I'm kind of glad to finally just see this item in general, on. I don't really remember ever seeing it in stores because I was going to Spirit during this time. Now, I do remember seeing the other 2017 Talix item that was released, which I'll cover in a little bit. But it is super cool and it looks phenomenal. And I would love to get my hands on a produced one, honestly, and build a prop out of it. It just looks super dope. It's super creepy. I don't know how the produced ones look versus this the sample, but this sample is really cool looking, and I'm super glad we get to see it in all of its beauty. I thought it was a stock model, the models that they use for the stock photos, because those are never produced ones. It is not, because the stock sample one is a lot darker, but it is still a super dope and super awesome item nonetheless. Next up is the Ferris Wheel Clowns. This one was posted by Halloween Haunter, and actually I have a little bit of history with this one. So this one went from Morris Costumes, then went to the Expo. I believe it also went to one other. It went to that Expo. I think it went to Transworld and one other event as well, but I could be wrong. That might have been a produced one that went. And then ultimately went to Spirit. So, and then Spirit actually took stock photos of it, and then Spirit sold it. So this one is from 2019. So still kind of keeping up with the modern time span here. I actually got to see one of the clowns in person. So we did a meetup at Transworld, and all of us who had prototypes brought a prototype. So Halloween Haunter brought one of the clowns. I believe it's one of the smiling ones. I'm pretty sure it's what it was. I think it was one with the scratch on its head, if I remember correctly. And he also brought some other prototypes as well. Jaden brought Rise of Cryptical's head. I brought my Pain Ancient Scarecrow head. And it was super fun times. So I actually got to see one of these clowns in person with a hold it. It was super fun. I had absolute blast, and it was just dope to even see it in person, and it looked super dope and just super cool. I felt like a broken record saying it was super dope, super cool, super dope, super cool. But it was really cool saying that. So to actually have an item in this marathon that I personally got to see in person, or at least a part of it, is really fun for me. So yeah, again, don't have a lot to say about it because it was produced, and it looks pretty much the same. As he pointed out, there are some differences, with the star not being present, and all of it being that kind of maroon red color. So, next up is the alien head from 2017. This one I do remember seeing in person. This one was posted by Aiden K. Again, another one where I don't really have a lot to say about it because it's a produced item. Not only that, but to me personally, it's pretty insignificant because I was never a big like gray alien fan. It's cool for what it is, like with the 2 bullet holes in the head and whatever, but meh. I do like that, as he pointed out, the head is formed a lot better because the produced ones were more inflated, like a balloon. And this one actually looks like how it's supposed to be, so I do agree with that, where it does look better. And even like the wash and the coloration looks a lot better as well. So again, definitely agree with him on those points that he made with his. So moving on to, now we're getting into the unreleased items. The hanging heads from Tailix Artware. And I should mention that, I think I did mention that the alien head was from Tailix as well. This one was posted by Hauntastic, and this was 2 items that he did. A hanging skeletal bride head is what I'm going to call it. And then a witch. So, as Hauntastic pointed out in his video, the bride is airbrushed. And I have to say that the airbrushing is immaculate. It looks phenomenal. Coming from someone who also collects prototypes and samples, though I am much more private about, you know, what I show off, this is something, like that bride is something that I would have absolutely paid top dollar for. That is such an incredible prototype, and it is so disappointing that it was never released. And the witch is really cool too, but again, not really much of a witch person, but the witch also looks super dope. I believe these were from 2017 as well, and were probably around the time when the theme was still a cabin, because it was a cabin in the woods, which I think those would have fit in better, because I think it was based off of the movie Cabin in the Woods, which had a bunch of different crazy weird monsters. So that's what makes me believe that they are from 2017. They could be from 2016 or earlier, but I do believe that they are also from 2017. The bride is just really cool. I like how the stump is even kind of like blacked out and really dark. She gives me Day of the Dead vibes. She really does, but in a really just, I don't know. She doesn't have that goofy, like, westernized Sugar Skull, if that makes sense. Like, and when I say like goofy westernized, I mean like how like Americans do the Sugar Skull aesthetic, where they all look the same, if that makes sense, and they don't look like actual proper Sugar Skulls, if that makes sense. Like, I'm glad they didn't go that direction, because then it would be like, oh, well, again, the witch, it is what it is. Next item is the Twitching Clown transitional model from 2019. This one was also posted by Hauntastic, and this is another Morris item. So, same era as the Ferris wheel. I believe this one was brought in solely because of the blanks, you know, that year where, like, Spirit was struggling to maintain stock, and I know for a fact that they did bring in Twitching Clown that year. So, you know, I'm glad that we get to see that sample. I will say I have a transitional model, like the newer models. I don't want to say transitional, like I have the prototype. I have a modern model, and I noticed quite a few differences off the bat. The shoes are not airbrushed at all. They are plain Jane, super shiny. They look terrible. The standing on the gloves is a little lighter than that. Looks terrible. The newer models look awful, to be quite honest. The hair does have some strands of black in it as well. So, that was another thing that I also noticed. Those were some things that immediately jumped out to me. The nose is a separate blow mold red piece on the produced models as well. Everything else is pretty much the same. It was just there were some differences that I immediately noticed. Also, the staining on the clothing on the produced ones is a lot more aggressive and looks, again, terrible. Next up, we're talking about the pop-up Snake and Skull. This one was posted by Will Bill. Or Billy's Monsters. I put Will Bill on this because that's what I remember him as. So, again, this one I want to have a little bit of history with because me and him actually got our prototypes around the same time. Both of us were doing repair work on our prototypes at the same time, and we were kind of just talking about our prototypes issues. Though I never got to see his, I assumed that, oh, he's just kind of privately collecting or whatever. I had no idea there was this marathon at the time. So it's super cool that he has this piece. It's really dope. It gives me more so techie vibes because of the look of the snake and like the hissing sounds. But it easily could be Crazy Create as well. But I'm leaning more heavily towards techie. Also, I do believe techie does the string driven stuff sometimes. I think, if I remember correctly, I could be totally wrong about this, but I believe the miniature sitting Scarecrow also used that string-driven mechanism. I believe. I could be wrong. But that is something that kind of jumped out to me immediately. But it's still cool. I do also believe, he said he thinks it's from 2020, I also believe that as well. And here's why. There is actually, in the videos of like all like the behind the scenes stuff, there are some skulls with snakes in them, and there are some snake props. In that room where they're showcasing a bunch of various skulls that were going to go in the cave. So that immediately jumped out to me. And when he mentioned that, I revisited that video and noticed the cobras and the cobras overcoming the skulls. Now, I didn't see that exact item. I saw like static skulls with snakes. So it was kind of one of those things where it's like, I think he's very accurate. I think that this is absolutely correct. So, but I mean, it could have not been, but I wholeheartedly believe that is the era, like that is its year. Next up, we're doing Spooky Guy 444's 2 prototypes. He did a double upload. So we're gonna start with the tabletop doll. We're kind of going in order with when he posted his items. I love some of these stills also. Like, they look so goofy, like with Bill. Oh Lord, and Mason. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did him dirty. I'm so sorry. So the doll. Okay. So I have kind of 2 conflicting companies, and for 2 different reasons. So we're gonna start with the Crazy Create theory. So the Scream Crazy Create, they did it on the doll. Also, Crazy Create loves to do adapter ports on insignificant props. They did it on the live wires, right? And that was something that jumped out to me. Oh, the adapter port. Crazy Create's done that, But on the other hand, with YJ, right? The Sam laugh, but it's all stock goodies, so that laugh could also just be stock. But the feet too, like just how the feet are made and the legs, is very reminiscent of the Eagle Ragdoll. So I don't know, but I'm very conflicted between the 2 as well. I want to lean more towards YJ because of the build. I also believe that this is from 2021, and I'll tell you why. The animation is very reminiscent of Harlequin doll, and Spirit will sometimes make a concept and give it to multiple companies, and I believe that this was like a Harlequin doll alternate until SVI presented theirs. Because there's also like a plain Jane version as well, and I wonder if Spirit was like, we want this as a clown. We think this would be better as a clown. So that's what leads me to believe that that was a Harlequin doll. And Spirit initially said we want a head spinning doll, and we got like the one with the blue dress first. Then we got the YJ Crazy or whatever it is one, and then they went with SBI and said we want as a clown, and that's when we got Harlequin. But that's a theory, a prop theory. Next up, we're talking about the Pumpkin Dude. That's what I'm calling him. So we already know that this is YJ. This has been confirmed. The censor, YJ. So I have seen the backroom video. I have seen him. I had no idea that's what it was. I thought it was a zombie. I thought it was like some sort of zombie statue all these years. And it was so insignificant, it fell out of my brain. Totally forgot about it until recently. When Mason showed that character, showed that little clip, like, not that clip, but that screenshot, and I was like, oh shit. Yeah, that's what it is. So Mason talked about how he thinks it's coming out of a barrel. You're wrong! No, I'm just kidding. I have my own theory. I think he's coming out of a well. Right? I think the zombie was coming out of a large pipe. Because it looked very industrial. I think he's coming out of a well because he has this very swampy appearance, and I think it kind of makes sense. And it also looks like a well to me. It's all gray. At least it looks gray to me. And like a concrete well, almost. Which, that is a thing that exists. For you kids out there, concrete wells do exist. It's a modern thing. Look it up. But I think he's supposed to be coming out of a well, which still for it to be a zombie and a pumpkin dude, super weird, but like, okay. I think they should have just made it into a plain rising character like Deadlift, because we all know it's a Deadlift reskin at this point. So they should have just left it as Deadlift. And I honestly I don't even think that would have been released either way. I think it went unreleased because it's too scary, because it does have a pretty freaky looking face. It looks dope. Again, this is another one of those prototypes I would have paid top dollar had I seen it. I would have bought that so quickly. Like, I would have paid a stupid amount for it. I will say that. That and the Bridehead would have paid stupid amounts for it. But I think it was too scary. Or, an alternate, like, theory, it resembled Crouchy too much. It has kind of the same facial shape, and, like, the elongated mouth, like, it's kind of narrower towards the bottom, and I know it's like, oh, that's how a jaw's built. Yeah, but, like, it's, like, a very kind of cartoony way that they did it, and it's got all the sharp teeth, right? And I feel like Spirit would have reached, like, that's too close to Crouchy, we can't release that. Because Crouchy's like our big prop this year, and we don't want to hurt his sales. Almost guaranteed that's another reason why, which would have been so dumb, so dumb. But yeah, the Pumpkin Dude and the Bridehead, that's what I'm calling her, my two favorites. Again, I'm so glad that Bridehead was not made into like this super westernized Sugar Skull. And if you like are wondering what I mean by like westernized Sugar Skull, go to a store during Halloween and look at their Day of the Dead section. You'll know what I mean by westernized. Yeah. That's what I mean. The one where like all the middle-aged white moms think is super cool. Yeah, that's what I mean. Westernized. Anyway, that is all for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know down below, what are you guys thinking about this marathon? I am super duper duper excited. I'm super thrilled. I will have the website link and the playlist linked down below, so you can watch it while I watch it and enjoy yourselves. It's super fun. Some fun, lighthearted community stuff that's going on. I love when we have stuff like this. Anyway, that's all for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye, guys.